This episode is brought to you by HASA. Liquid is clearly better. Liquid chlorine is the highest purity, works immediately, has no added cyanuric acid or calcium, and it will leave your pool safe, clean, and clear. And by the bottom feeder professional grade battery powered vacuum system. It sucks to clean pools, so cleaning pools sucks less. Get $100 off with code DVB100.
This episode is brought to you by Skimmer, the #1 pool service software in North America. With Skimmer, you can streamline your schedule, grow your revenue, and keep your customers coming back with 5-star service. Whether you're a one-person operation or an established team, Skimmer is your partner in success. Visit getskimmer.com/poolguy to try Skimmer for free for 30 days.
The Pool Guy Podcast Show. The Pool Guy Podcast Show. The Pool Guy Podcast Show.
Hi, welcome to the Pool Guy Podcast Show. In this episode, I'm going to continue my talk with Nikki Acosta of Skimmer, and we're going to go over the 2025 homeowner report that Skimmer put together. And in the first part, we of course talked about value and price point, cost, and adding value to a business. And now we're going to talk about one thing the survey highlighted, which was why people were dissatisfied with pool service. And we're going to talk about that. Also, we're going to highlight charging for chemicals separately to maximize your bottom line and what homeowners really think about pool service companies that will charge for chemicals separately. And we'll also touch on auto billing. This is a feature that you should be implementing, and we'll show you what the survey says about what customers think about auto pay. You'll be really surprised actually with these responses from homeowners on these topics here. Are you a pool service pro looking to take your business to the next level? Join the Pool Guy Coaching Program. Get expert advice, business tips, exclusive content, and get direct support from me. I'm a 35-year veteran in the industry. Whether you're starting out or scaling up, I've got the tools to help you succeed. Learn more at swimmingpoollearning.com. And you might find it helpful to have a copy of this report in your hands while you're listening to this podcast. There's a link in the podcast description there. If you're listening on YouTube, there's also a link in the description. You can click on that, and then you can just enter your email information, and you'll get the report emailed to you within like 30 seconds, is what I found. And then you can follow along with that. So I'm going to jump back in here, and I'm going to continue my talk about this report with Nikki Acosta of Skimmer. On page 26, it does highlight the fact that it's not the cost of service that the customers will cancel for or complain about. The biggest frustration is actually inconsistent service, which was 44%. So almost half the people that were surveyed said that the reason why they were frustrated with the pool service was that it just wasn't done well. And there's a big opportunity for those companies that do things well. And I think it's a misconception that it's all costs. It's funny when you look at it, it's 44% was the service quality, 38% was cost, and then 31% was poor communication. All these things are fixable for a company that really wants that business and wants to really understand how they can pick up that market share like you talked about. What sets them apart? Well, just showing up every week would set you apart from probably half the competition out there.
Totally. It's amazing. Like that's the #1 thing. It seems like such a basic thing, for Skimmer, but it's still our favorite. It's still the favorite feature of our pros is the service email. It's pretty, it's there. Now we can roll up all that same data into a customer portal. So if you have a customer, they can go back as far as they want and see their readings and their photos. And it creates an impression that like, hey, this person shows up, they're doing a good job. They're taking pictures. The number of people that call that used to call saying, oh, I have, leaves in my pool. Were you even here today? All you need to do is tell them once, yeah, we were there at 11:20 a.m. If you look at your service email report, you actually see the photos of what the pool looked like when we left. It's a high wind day. So it's, it sounds pretty reasonable if there might be leaves in your pool. That they'll never call again. You will never have another complaint about that again, because now your customer knows that like they don't have to come to you or call you or take up your time. Time savings is a big, big, big thing. And I think people underestimate, how much these little things add up. Case in point, it's some crazy numbers. 98% of people who answered the survey said they were willing to set up auto pay. not only is it easier for your client, and granted, we know there's going to be those people who are super old school and they're going to want to pay by check or some other means. But for the most part, 98% are willing to set up auto pay. Why wouldn't you want to do that for your business? Why wouldn't you want to not only offer that convenient option for your client, but also improve your cash flow? I've talked to so many pros who spend so much time chasing down money, and that is not a good experience for your client because chances are they're only hearing about you when they haven't paid a bill, right? So like making sure that you're communicating these things that you're doing, that you offer them the convenience and the time savings of being on auto pay and also saving yourself time, it's a no-brainer, right? Like it's being able to use modern software to deliver a better experience. And I know this sounds like a skimmer pitch. It kind of is because I've seen it in the field and I've seen people who it's changed their lives to be able to use software to make sure that their customers are just having a better experience and that they can charge more.
A key point, and that transitions into another thing that I thought was really interesting. And this is something on page 19 where it talks about 85% of customers are already open to and not resistant to the idea of separating chemical costs. And this is something that a lot of pool pros are reluctant to look at, is that people don't mind absorbing chemical costs if it's something that is necessary. And there's a lot of guys, I think it was about 3 years ago when I made a really big push for pool pros to charge trichlor tablets separately. A lot of us kept them in as a part of the service charge, but that's when tablets were like, $85 for a bucket, 50-pound bucket. And so there was a big push 3 or 4 years ago for me to tell the pool pros, the customers aren't going to mind paying for chemicals that they're using in the pool if you explain it correctly. Right now, the inflation in the industry is at 200%. We can't absorb these kind of costs. And people understand that, especially in the environment now where you go anywhere, you go to your local burger place, and it seems like every 3 months the price is going up. And you go to the gas station, they can't, and here in my area of California, they can't even keep up with changing the prices. They go up every day. I think I got gas yesterday, it was almost $4.80 a gallon, which is pretty crazy. And a lot of the gas stations go electronic because they want to change the prices on a push of a button. But interesting, and you can talk about this, why are not more pool pros implementing separate chemical costs where they can actually help their bottom line?
Yeah, and look, I think a lot of it for a lot of folks is it's kind of a pain unless you're using software to be able to make that super easy. My partner owns a pool service company and he includes base chems. So he includes he'll include bicarb, he includes DE. But when it comes to the more expensive chemicals like algicide and cal hypo and those types of things, he charges separately for those. Those are add on to the bill, and he does not get any pushback. I've met other pros. I'm thinking about Bryce out in Arizona. He had a really, really good way to help customers wrap their head around why he's chosen to go with a Plus Chems model. And his pitch was something along the lines of, look, I service Airbnbs. I've got people who are renting out their pools on a daily basis that are getting just pummeled. I don't think it's fair for you to have to subsidize the cost of their chemical usage. So that's why I charge for chemicals separately. The added benefit too is if customers are paying for chemicals, they might be a little bit more incentivized to take corrective action in between visits. So, emptying your skimmer baskets, maybe, netting a pool or brushing a wall if you know that you've had algae problems. Like it's a lot easier to encourage a customer because if they don't, they're going to get penalized in the form of higher chemical costs. So I do think it was interesting that 85% of those customers are open or at least not resistant to the idea of separating chemical costs. I also think too, there are markets where folks are advertising very, very low prices. I've seen $89 a month service, $99 a month service. Many of those people may offer a base service as a marketing ploy to get you to call of $89 or $99, but they're also charging for chems separately. So there's also this kind of perceived value of like, hey, we are the least expensive provider just to get your foot in the door, at which point you can sell value and also let people know that you're charging separately from chems. So there's kind of maybe a little bit of a marketing benefit there too. But I think for a lot of folks, especially folks who are not using software, being able to calculate those costs and keep track of everything and do manual data entry on those things, if you're not using software, makes it kind of prohibitively time sucking.
I'm going to date myself here, but when I started in the industry in 1988, I was working with an old school guy in Orange County, California. Doug Ward was his name. So he would teach me how he does his billing. And you're going to probably laugh at this, but this is super old school. He carried an invoice packet with him with the carbon in there, and he would write down the weekly service charge. I think it was something like $15 a week back then. It was just 1988, of course. Then he would write down 85 cents for chlorine, liquid chlorine. Then he would write down like 55 cents for a quart of acid he put in there. And he would do this at every time he went to the stop. And then at the end of the month, he would add it all together and then leave it on the customer's porch. And then we'd go there the next week and there'd be a check under the doormat for him for that amount. Now that's super old school. And I'm sure no one has those carbon invoice things anymore. Maybe if you guys have those where everything's duplicated and you leave it on the customer's porch. But what you are saying is true. If you're using software, you can really do the itemized chemical billing in a much easier and cleaner way. And do people actually write checks anymore? I haven't got one in a long time, but I don't think my son can even write a check if I give him a checkbook. It's just something that's not done. And things are done automatically. The auto pay is really something that everyone should be implementing. And look, it's understandable that a customer may miss something because you bill them and then the auto pay goes through for something prior. It's so simple to send a message saying, oh, there was something on your last bill. I'm going to put it on this next bill if you can adjust the payment. So it's not really complicated to use those modern tools. And more pool guys, I think, should implement these things.
Yeah, I mean, my partner bills for service in advance in the month, but then he tacks on the chemicals from the previous month. And Skimmer makes that super easy. Like we've got toggle boxes that are like include with service, charge separately, or pick up chemicals from the last month and add them to this beginning of month bill for the next month. So we do support multiple models, whether you're charging by the month, whether you're charging by the visit, whether you are including chems, not including chems, including some chems. The benefit too of having that all in software is you can associate what you're paying for that unit of measurement of dosage that you're putting into the pool. And if you know what you're paying for it and you know what you're charging the customer for, you can keep track. There are a couple reports inside of Skimmer that will show you, how many chemicals are being dosed either at a customer level or even by a technician level. And sometimes those can be indicators that you may have a leak in a pool or there's a problem that you may not be able to notice otherwise if you've got just super high excessive chem use. CYA is a big one. Not everyone tests for CYA at every visit, but it makes it absolutely difficult for chlorine to do its job. And, still, people go out and every time my partner goes to a pool, the first thing he's checking for is CYA to make sure that CYA level is in range, because if it's not, then he knows he's going to be using way more chemicals than he needs to keep that chlorine artificially high. So all of this, that just goes to expertise, right? Like you want to be able to inform your customers. If you're going in and you're, pitching service, don't be afraid to highlight your expertise and your value and how you are reliable and how you communicate and how thorough you are. Like let people know, the list of things that you do. Show them, like, if you have different pricing options or different pricing tiers, if it's a chem only service or a biweekly service or a full package opening, closing, and 16 weeks of service, give them some price options. Have a laminated sheet that shows you, here are the 3 types of services that I provide, which one makes more sense for you. It's a really good, easy way to close a deal and make sure that people understand that what they pay for. If they pay for a little bit more, they're going to get higher level of service.
And I would refer people to page 8 of this particular report because that's the executive summary. So everything we talked about here is kind of in that page. I think we covered most of those. I was just flipping through the various pages, but if you look at the summary, everything is there. And I guess before we end here, we can let the listeners know why Skimmer does this. Costs Skimmer money to do these reports. It's not something we take lightly that you put this out there and you open it up to everyone in the industry, not just people using the Skimmer software. You want to talk a little bit about Skimmer's philosophy. You talked about this when we did the industry survey or the state of the industry, but why does Skimmer do these reports? Why do you do these webinars for the general pool public, basically pool service public? Why aren't you doing this exclusively just for your clients?
Look, our mission is to elevate the industry and empower full service professionals to build great businesses. And, it takes a village to do that. I know that there are variations in every market, in every city. I know that some folks in Phoenix or parts of Florida may not be dealing with the type of tree, debris that ends up in a pool. But there are some things that are consistent across all businesses in terms of what pool owners want, what they care about. The struggles that are facing the industry are pretty consistent across the entire US, whether that's, inflation or tariffs or, marketing challenges or, all of these things kind of contribute to making your business just a little bit better. And, we're not, chemistry, experts. We have an Arenda calculator in our app. We have flexible software that can allow you to make sure that you have the options to dose whatever kind of chemical you want to use at whatever unit measurement you want. So we really try to help our pros make great decisions, up-level their skills, up their business skills as well. Whether that's, we just did another webinar on hiring and retaining employees. That was great. One of our pros out of California even shared his complete employment documents down to his employee handbook, which is great if you can save yourself time and borrow those types of things from other people or implement, little changes that make big improvements in your business and your bottom line. That's what we're here to help people do. Like we want to help our pros grow. We want to make the industry better. We don't want our customers to feel like they're out there, on an island in survival mode, trying to charge the cheapest rate possible and grinding themselves to death. Like you're in a respectable trade and you deserve to earn a good living. And that's what we want to help our customers do.
Yeah, I appreciate the transparency and the time you spend on this. And I really appreciate the report. I think the pool pros that are wanting to market themselves should be reading this carefully. And it's a great resource for the pool pro. I know it's a homeowner survey, but really it's for the pool pro to analyze and look at it so that they can really capitalize on the information in their market and really dominate their area. And I think if you're a savvy pro, use this resource. And again, there'll be a link in this podcast for this report. I suggest if you don't have it, get it and then review it and utilize these numbers in here in the data that Skimmer is providing for you at no cost. So we appreciate Skimmer and we appreciate you coming on here and talking about the report.
Likewise, we appreciate you and all that you do too, David. You are a gem in this industry. Your videos and your podcasts just have tremendous reach, covering really, really great topics. And I get to learn from you all the time as well. So we certainly appreciate you.
Oh, thank you. And if you're looking for the report, in the description, I'll have it posted there for you. And you can click on that link. It'll take you to a site where you can download this report. I highly recommend you download it, read it, and that will help you really market your business more effectively in your service area. Looking for part 1, the easiest way to find it is to subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you go there, you'll see the podcast I post Monday through Friday. You can also click on the podcast icon on the banner. That'll take you to a drop-down menu of previous podcasts. And if you're interested in the coaching program that I offer, you can learn more at poolguycoaching.com. Thanks for listening to this podcast. Have a great rest of your week, and God bless. This episode is brought to you by HASA, providing products that deliver clean, healthy water for every aspect of everyday life. The bottom feeder battery-powered vacuum system, portable, powerful, and only weighs 12 pounds. And Skimmer. Get Skimmer, America's #1 pool service software. Podcast listeners can try Skimmer for free at getskimmer.com/poolguy.